All right, so welcome back to Holistic Hustle. We're talking episode 4. Today we're talking about mindset, the importance of mindset as it pertains to your fitness journey. How you doing, Danny?
I'm good, man.
You doing all right? Good, I'm doing good. How's your mindset?
Solid.
Yeah.
You want to know why?
Why?
Because I've been working with you.
Bam.
Let's go.
You know why my fitness journey is doing good?
I don't know.
Because I'm working with you.
Okay.
I don't know if y'all know this, but we're each other's coaches. He coaches me on my fitness. I coach him on his mindset.
What is mindset?
What is mindset? So mindset is essentially like the way you look at the world or the way you look at life, and then the outlook that you take or the focus that you take. For example, you can focus on what's missing or you can focus on what you have, right? That's a mindset.
Yep.
What are you focusing on? You could be grateful for what you have, or you could be pissed off inside because of what you don't have. Glass half full, glass half empty kind of a thing, right? You can focus on what you can't control and get all pissed off and stressed out about it, or you can focus on what you can control.
I like that.
Right.
Where focus goes, energy flows.
Right. Where the focus goes, energy flows. And the last one is you can focus on the present, you can focus on the past, or you can focus on the future. Now, most people think in psychology, they say, what's depression? Well, you're focusing on the past. You're sad and regretful about the past. You're feeling and reliving the pains of the past, and you're just stuck there. What's anxiety, right? Being fearful of the future.
Yep.
You're afraid of the future. There's uncertainty, and it stresses you out and it freaks you out. You're anticipating, right? You're getting ahead of yourself, right? I watched this show, Ted Lasso. I don't know if anybody watched Ted Lasso, but he's kind of like a life coach. He says, before you flip out, find out.
Oh.
Before you flip out, find out. Or before you freak out, find out. Because you don't know yet, so you're getting ahead of yourself.
Kind of
right?
like future tripping?
Yep, future casting,
okay.
Catastrophizing, which a lot of people do, right? And then, or you can be focused on the present, right? Where are you at? What are you doing? Like, future, it's okay to look at the future because you got to plan ahead. You got to, like, where are you going? Like the GPS analogy that we've talked about before. Set the destination for where you want to go. Know where you're at, know where you're going, and then take the actions accordingly that are going to help you get there, right? So looking at the future is important, but not from a fearful place, from a planning, from a direction, from a purpose, from a vision, from like, hey, what am I working towards? Because we all need that drive. We need the push. We need the inspiration, right? And you can look at the past, but from a place of understanding myself. Like, why do I act the way I act? To self-reflect, to contemplate, to have a better understanding of who I am and why I'm where I am.
Not
right?
to like negatively dissect yourself and judge yourself.
Right, and beat yourself up about it and stay in the pain. That's why sometimes, and I love therapy. Therapy has a place, but you need it depends on the therapist, because you need a good therapist. You need to find a therapist that works for you. Not because they're a therapist means that they're going to be good, But therapy can tend to keep you stuck in the past. It's not action based. And it's like, okay, so this is where it was. Now let's jump forward. How do we move past this, right? And a lot of times when I have clients that are stuck in their stories, I have to ask them. It's like, hey, you keep repeating this. You've hired me to work with you and to help you. Are you ready to move forward? Oh yes, I'm ready to move forward. I'm just tired of all this. I'm ready to move forward. I
love that question. Yeah.
And they're like, and then they go back into the story and say, okay, I'm gonna have to stop you there. You said you wanted to move forward. And if that's the case, then I need you to stop talking about the story again, and let's move forward. And where are you going? What are you going to work towards? And then we need to fill in the gap on how we're going to get there. Because in order to move forward in life, you first have to move forward in your mind. And if your mind, you're stuck in the past, can't move forward.
Progress.
So that's mindset. Mindset is, what are you focusing on, right? What kind of habits do you have? Are you disciplined? Are you persistent? Are you determined, right? What is your focus, right? What do you do what is your relationship to failure, to mistakes, to making mistakes? Like you were talking about, someone makes some mistakes in their nutrition, they're done. Like, I'll just keep making mistakes for the rest of the day. or do you bounce back from that, or do you use mistakes and failures to fuel your growth, right?
Or as a learning opportunity.
As a learning opportunity. So that's all mindset. It's like how you view the world, what is your focus, and what are the things that you have in place to help you keep going.
So how much of this mindset, like the current, like when you start working with a client, the person, because you meet them right where they're at, right? How much of that is like nature versus nurture? How much of it is like who they are naturally as a person, and how much of that is like their upbringing, their environment, maybe their close relationships? I know it's a long.
It's a lot.
Okay.
It's both, right? So for example, like I'll ask you this question, and maybe we'll ask you, and maybe you can post it in the comments or whatever you think the answer is. But the personality for the 26-year-old that you were, I'll give you 30 just to keep it even.
Okay.
For the 30-year-old, but I'm talking about their personality, meaning the way they view the world, their beliefs, their ethics, their discipline, like everything. The way they view the world at the level of thought and belief. By what age do you think that was developed? Like
you've actually given me the answer,
I know that you know
so
the
I'm
answer.
biased.
Right.
So I would say if I didn't know
If
the
you
answer,
didn't know the
if I
answer.
didn't know the answer, I would say like as a 18-year-old when I leave the house, right?
Right. That's what most people say. Most people say like, 18, 16, 20, I don't know. But it's 3 years old, man.
That's crazy. I have a 2-year-old.
So I've told you this before. You're not raising a 2-year-old. I want you to think of him as a 20-year-old. So whenever he has a 2-year-old need, you have to ask yourself, am I hindering a 20-year-old skill? If I fulfill that need. Like some needs are actually necessary.
Are you guys hearing that? Say that again.
Like, because I had to do this with my own daughter. When
Okay.
she was 3, if she had a 3-year-old need, I had to ask myself, if I fulfill that need, am I hindering a 30-year-old skill? So if she for example, if she wanted me to carry her to walk down the stairs. She was already 3. She already been walking for a while. Okay, is she feeling sick? What are the circumstances? Like, how is she feeling? Is she okay, or she just wants to be carried because she likes that?
Yeah.
I said, how about this? How about I hold your hand the whole entire time, and I find a way to get her to do it, or crossing the street, like depending on how busy the street is. Like, can I carry her? Are we in a hurry? Again, is she feeling okay? Is she in a good place? You can cross the street. I'll hold your hand. So like, it's like, am I hindering a 30-year-old skill by trying to fulfill a 3-year-old need? So those of you that are parents, I want to invite you to think about it like that. Like, you're not raising a 3-year-old or a 2-year-old. You're raising an adult. That's an adult in progress.
Okay.
And so a lot of their mindset, a lot of their beliefs, a lot of the things that they're going to be doing is going to come from that. In fact, I just heard Michelle Obama talk about this. She would often talk to her daughters and say, you need to practice who you want to be.
That makes sense.
Practice if you want to be lazy, okay, then by being lazy, you're practicing that you're going to be lazy.
So she'll be good at being lazy.
Right. You'll be good at being lazy. Or if you want to be disciplined, like, who do you want to be? Then you need to, and that's not fake it till you make it kind of a thing. It's practicing the habits and the actions that are going to help you to become that person that you want to be. You know what I mean?
I love that. And so I have a follow-up question to that. Do you think we as adults, like at a certain age, we start to like reparent ourselves?
100%.
We start to kind of like change or work on these core beliefs.
Well, that's what healing is.
Okay.
Healing it's not necessarily putting new information in. It's like the undoing of the things that got put in on purpose or not on purpose or consciously or unconsciously. That kind of how the world changed you. And so things happen to you. And so you have to undo all that. Part of the healing is we no longer blame our parents anymore. We're like, oh man, shit, they did the best that they could with what they knew how.
I love that. I was about to say that. You have to have that amount of love and empathy towards your parents.
Because if you think about it, they did the best they could. And if you think about it, if you were to view them as a child, they probably had it worse than you did.
Oh, yeah.
They probably had it way worse, right? So they don't know any better. And they're limited, right, with what they can do.
There's only enough resources in their parenting toolkit.
And at the time that they were growing up, their parents had less resources. You know what I mean? So like our generations are getting more and more resources because we want to be able to be better human beings. But at their time, you didn't go to therapy.
No.
That's not something, and still today, there's a big stigma around therapy. Imagine back then.
Oh, yeah. You're crazy if you go to therapy.
Right. It's for crazy people.
Yeah.
Something's wrong with you.
Yeah.
And that's not the case. That's not the case. I mean, I've said this to you before, like, I didn't see examples of healthy living. I think the first person I ever saw that took care of their health in every aspect was my uncle. And he was later in life. He would run. He would meditate. I was just like, whoa, what is all that?
Is it profession? Like, what does he do for a living?
He's a doctor.
Okay.
But he's like a traditional trained doctor. Like,
okay.
You know,
modern
Western medicine.
Western
medicine, right? But he's become more of a holistic minded person as he aged, as he gained more wisdom. But he's already in his 60s.
Okay.
But growing up, I didn't see people working out. I saw my stepdad, he would play basketball. But in Puerto Rico, that's kind of like a thing. You play basketball, you play baseball. So it's like a cultural thing. Not because like, oh, I'm doing it for my health reasons.
It's just a social thing.
Yeah, it's just a social thing. He did it with his friends from work. But being healthy, running.
Not for exercise.
Right. Walking, not for exercise. Like eating well, meditation, like emotional regulation, right? Proper communication.
Yeah.
Owning your responsibility, owning your shit. No, bro. Like I didn't learn that until much later in life.
Okay.
You know, but like when we link it together, when it comes to mindset and fitness and nutrition and losing weight and reaching your goals, there's a whole entire component that you may not know why you're not losing the weight. And it could be, are you working out? Yes, check. I'm working out. Are you eating well? Yes, check. I'm following Coach Danny's diet plan for me.
Yeah.
Why am I not losing the weight? Have you checked your mental health? Have you checked your emotional health? If you haven't, there's probably something there.
Can you tell us more about the concept of like not just like tiptoeing around it or trying to go over it, but going through that?
Well, I'm glad you said that. The only way that you get past an obstacle or a challenge or a setback is through it. You can't go around it. You can't go under it. You can't go over it. All we're doing is trying to go around it and over it and under it. We're trying to find ways to not deal with it, right?
Because it's painful, right?
Because it's painful.
And it takes work.
And it takes work. Like I posted this little meme a while back on my Facebook page or my Instagram page. It was a line for like pills and like hacks and whatever, like all this Western stuff. And there was a line for like meditation, like it was a pill for anxiety and depression pills, and a line for meditation and mindfulness. And the line for pills was like
to the door,
out the door,
yeah.
But the line for mindfulness and meditation, it was like maybe like one person was on that line. Because people are looking for the shortcut. People are looking for the hack. People are looking for the Band-Aid.
The Band-Aid effect.
I don't want to have to feel this shit again. Well, unfortunately.
Give me something.
Cover it up.
Cover it up.
Cover it up. All you're doing is disconnecting.
But you're also delaying your...
And you're delaying your
your
healing.
journey, your progress. You're going to end up...
You're going to have to deal with it anyway.
Yeah.
You're going to have to deal with it at some point, either now or later, but you're going to have to do it. Or there's some people that don't. There's some people that end up dying and they never deal with their shit. But
I'd love to tell my story about how I decided to
deal with your shit.
Well, to work with you.
Well, how did that go?
So, we talked about like have like these core beliefs, right? And so as I was working on like my self-improvement, I was like a checklist kind of guy at the time, right? Am I reading all the books? Am I exercising? Am I eating right? But I was like, something's missing, right? But I didn't have anything in my toolkit, right? So then I started looking up ways to like optimize my mental, emotional health, right? I knew I was like a terrible communicator. And so I was looking at ways of like, or just adding resources. I'm like a technical person at heart with like a very, like a soft, almost like emotional guy at the same time. But I just didn't have like strategies in place to deal with certain things when it came to relationships, whether it's work or personal relationships or relationship with myself, right? So then I was talking to my wife and I just kind of like thought about it, like what would be the next step, right? And so I looked into counseling, right? And so and I did more digging, and then I came across this thing where it was like life coaching, right? So there was this chart that said life coaching versus therapy, right? There's, like I said, there's nothing wrong with therapy.
There's
a
many
time
benefits.
and place. I think it's a synergistic thing. I honestly believe you got to be doing both.
You got to do both. I agree. You got to do both.
But at the time, this is exactly what I told my wife. I want to be open and just kind of lay it all out with a professional, but not have them just be like, how does that make you feel, sort of thing.
Let's not just talk about it.
Let's not just talk. Give me some things
Action.
to do. Because I think at my core, I'm also a very action-oriented person.
Mm-hmm.
And I've realized that it does take action. And I'm willing to suffer. I'm willing to go through that painful journey if I know there's growth on the other side, and if I know that the people around me are going to benefit from it.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily myself. Like, everybody thinks that their personal journey is theirs only, but it's their whole entire world and everyone they touch, right? So it could be your spouse, it could be your significant other, it could be your kids, the people you work with. The moment you start to work on your shit, everyone will notice, and you will have a more synergistic relationship with everyone across the board. And they're going to know you're doing something good,
yes,
right?
Sir. So what was it for you that, like, clicked once you started doing that work and dealing with your mental, emotional stuff? Like, what clicked?
It was becoming a dad. I honestly, I think becoming a dad made me a lot softer. It made me kinder. And just seeing a little baby in front of me, it made me realize, it made me appreciate everything my parents had done. So I had a lot of pent up emotions, and I was like, why am I the way I am? And had a lot of guilt and a lot of shame and a lot of and resentment. But then I looked at my son and I'm like, I can change this. But in order for me to be a better parent, it's not about what I do, it's who I can become.
Who do you need to be?
Who do I need to be? Like, I am Raphael's dad, but who do I need to
Danny
become?
is the one that shows up to be a dad. Yeah. So the better Danny that you can be, the better dad that you can be, the better husband that you can be, the better boss that you can be, the better trainer that you can be.
And that's it.
It starts with you.
But I think having a kid, I think that was the thing that just made me really commit to it.
That's what did it for me.
Really?
When I knew I was going to be a dad, I was like, holy shit.
I got to work through my shit.
There's a life. Yeah. I'm going to be responsible for another life. Like, I have to change this. I have to look. I have to do an assessment. I have to evaluate, like, what am I going to pass down to this kid? Like, now I'm responsible for somebody else. It's not just about me anymore. And I think for a lot of us, it is that. And for some, it's not. But it takes some kind of, big change in your life.
I just had an epiphany.
What?
Yeah, when it comes to that, right? Like, you just made me realize the reason people start to change and improve their health is because of some major thing. And that was my major thing. I had been doing all this stuff as a fitness guy, right? Fitness and nutrition guy. And it wasn't until I had this big life-changing event.
That's it.
That I decided to just get my shit together and start working on my mental, emotional, spiritual health.
And it could be positive, and it could be negative. Quote unquote, I'm going to say quote unquote negative, because even if it's negative, like for me, my biggest one was when I went through a divorce. Like, my life was falling apart. And I was just like, that's when I was like, okay, I got to take it to the next level. So the first one was, I was going to become a parent. I was like, okay, I got to do things a little bit differently. And I started reading books about being a parent. Like, I needed to understand.
So that was your first,
my first one,
like, little kick.
My first, and it wasn't that big of a kick, but it was enough, a little nudge.
Okay.
And then 2 years later, I went through a divorce, and that was the biggest kick in my ass. Like, big, like, I'm talking about the carpet being pulled from underneath you, and you're just like, what the fuck?
Well, that's your whole reality.
Yeah. I mean, everything changed, and I was like, but it needed to. It forced me, and then you can go two ways. You can get hardened by the experience and be like pissed off and bitter, and then if you stay there, that'll become part of your personality.
I call that sitting in your own filth.
Sitting in your shit, and it stinks, man.
Yeah.
Or you can say, okay, well, I'm in shit. What can I do with this? I can turn it into fertilizer.
Yes.
And I can go in the other direction, and I can use it to feel, why is this happening to me? What do I need to see? What do I need to understand? Why do I need to be different? What needs to change? How did I get here? Like, you start taking responsibility for your life, personal responsibility and accountability for your life. And then you say, okay, what can I do differently? So that's when my spiritual journey started. Like, that's when I really started diving in.
And you took more ownership for your reality,
right?
The things that happen in your life.
You stop blaming others, man. It's you.
Yeah.
You are the cause of your own effect. Like, and the thing is, it's happening for me, through me, as me.
I wish we could pull up that meme where it's like it's a person looking at themselves in the mirror, and they're pointing at the mirror, and they're like something funny like the person responsible for all the online shopping or for all the
it's you.
It's you.
It's you.
I just think of funny memes like that.
And the thing is about it, so think about, like, most people understand technology, computers and stuff like that. You have a computer, and computers, even the phone, there's a hardware and there's a software, right? If my phone cracks, that's a hardware issue. Like, I got to go take care of the hardware, maybe replace the screen, right? Maybe replace the glass cover thing, right? There's a hardware issue. But there could also be glitches in the phone, and that's a software issue, right? So you go, I'm going to go to my fitness trainer and my nutritionist to work on the hardware, the body.
The physical stuff.
But then who am I going to go to for the software?
Your operating system.
Yeah. Right? Some stuff, some things you got to look at that stuff too. If it's glitching, if it's freezing, if it's like, sometimes you click on an app and it opens something else. Or you click on there's a virus or something's causing it to glitch. There's an error in the code, in the programming.
Yep.
That you want it to do something, but it does something else.
Yep.
We got to look at that. So it's the same thing for us. Like, there could be some software issues that need to be looked at, and a hardware person cannot do that because they're not trained in that. So you got to be able to be willing to look at that stuff.
I think the modern fitness coach needs to have that ability, right? And so
at least the awareness of it.
The awareness, and like all the training that I've done when it comes to nutrition for the last 4 or 5 years has been around human psychology, and nutrition is secondary. Yes, of course, you got to know your stuff when it comes to nutrition, but you can't help someone make a truly, you can't help them make a true transformation without having at least some, like, a brief understanding of the why of how that person, why that person functions the way they do, right? And a lot of that is their own mind,
right?
Their own views when it comes to themselves, to their world, and a lot of that is like their own limiting beliefs,
right?
Too,
right.
So if they have a limiting belief of like why they haven't been successful in the past, and that's still with them. If you can't help them first create awareness around it, help them identify it, and then help them like come up with some simple strategies on how to make that leap. Like you said, instead of just tipping-toeing around the situation, helping them through that painful journey.
Right. The thing is, you gotta follow. If there's a plan in place, if you have a plan in place, and here at Extend Fitness, we help you create like a personal wellness plan for you. That includes fitness, it includes nutrition, it includes mental, emotional, spiritual, and even recovery. Right. It includes all that. And so if you have a plan in place, you follow the plan, not what you're feeling. Because there's times, like, I'm gonna be honest, yesterday I had my training session with Danny. I didn't want to come. I was not feeling it. My legs were hurting a little bit. I was a little bit tired. I was like, but I have a plan. I can't just go, I don't feel like it today. No, you follow the plan, not your feelings. And I'll take it further. It's not always what you think, and it's not always what you feel. It's what you know. If I go by what I think, my mind can play tricks on me. If I go with what I feel, my feelings can play tricks on me.
Oh, yeah.
But what do I know? I know that I have a plan. I know that I have goals. I know that I have places, like a way that I want to show up and I want to be. That's what I know, and I'm going to follow
And you know
that.
someone's going to be there waiting for you that has your best interest in mind.
Correct.
And can help you overcome whatever it is that's going on in here.
And you're going to feel better. Mm-hmm. You're going to feel better overall.
Something you always ask me. Is there anything else you want to talk about today?
I think that covers it, man. I just want you to understand that if you're doing your fitness journey, awesome. You're eating well, awesome. Like, good for you. But just because you're physically healthy, if you're not taking care of your mental health, your emotional health, and your spiritual health, you're still unhealthy overall. That's just facts. Great. I'm glad you're doing your fitness journey. I'm glad you're doing your nutrition. There's more to it.
Let's take it up a notch.
Great job, man.
Awesome.
Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one.